Hey, guess what? The Environmental Protection Agency is starting to do some actual protecting of the environment. For decades, corporations have been using you and your children as a toxic waste dump. They've been producing these little things called forever chemicals and then partnering up with companies to convince you that unless your bed is soaked in their poison flame retardant, you will almost certainly die in a fiery midnight death. But check it out. Biden's EPA announced that it will finally regulate these forever chemicals, at least the ones in the drinking water. But first, why are these chemicals in our water? Perhaps Dow Chemical wanted to protect consumers from the flammable fracked waste chemicals that are in their drinking water by adding a fire retardant other chemical into their drinking water, because that's healthy for everyone. It was either that or deregulation enabled corporate irresponsibility, externalizing the cost of their capitalist endeavor. One of those. The chemicals were once used to make Teflon and Scotchgard, known as PFOS and PFOAs. These poisons are so widespread that they can be found in every single human being's blood in the United States. That is not hyperbole. It is a real fact. I mean, even if you eat organic, yeah. And even if you buy bottled water, yeah, your money's not going to save you this time, Karen. For decades, countless communities drank water with toxic levels of PFOS and PFOAs without any recourse from the EPA or the corporate polluters, who, by the way, I shall name DuPont, 3M, Solvay. And there's a few more, but let's rain the shame down on those major three. Corporations also soak these chemicals into your living room rug that your baby loved to roll on. They're in your shampoo. They're also in that gift you got your mom for her ugly Christmas sweater contest. Sure, the sweater was ugly and neurotoxic, but at least it's not flammable, right? Which I believe in this case is actually kind of important because many people have a strong desire to set those hideous things on fire immediately. But, you say, weren't PFOS and PFAS phased out of use in the US between 2006 and 2015, along with other PFAS compounds based on chains of 8 carbon atoms or more? Why, yes, they were. You are so smart. During that period, the chemical industry began moving to shorter chain alternatives, often based on 6 linked carbons instead of 8. These replacement compounds were promoted as safer and more environmentally friendly by the same corporations who didn't give a shinola about you or the environment the first time around. This is evidenced by what happened at a hearing in front of the House Committee on Oversight and Reform. DuPont's COO acknowledged the dangers, and he, quote, reaffirmed DuPont's commitment to not make, buy, or use long-chain PFAS materials, end quote. He didn't mention the short-chain ones, which of course turned out to be just as horrible and toxic as the long-chain ones. Biden's new and improved EPA has made an effort in the right direction here with its final determination to set drinking water limits for these chemicals. Hey, if you're listening, Biden administration, may I suggest that the limit that you choose be 0? As I mentioned earlier, the CDC says that these chemicals can be found in the blood of virtually every American, and they lead to issues like immune system dysfunction, hormone disruption, infertility, cancer, and probably whatever it is you have. As if companies poisoning everyone in America isn't insane enough, here's where the story gets franken fucked up. As they were looking into this, the EPA found that forever chemicals have been leaching from storage containers into pesticides stored in them. Where do the pesticides go? Well, they often get sprayed on our food crops. I know in my city, they also spray this stuff right on your house, right on your home, in your park, in your garden where you grow your food. I didn't like the idea of them spraying me with just the cancer-causing pesticides. Now it's a double whammy. The manufacturer of the pesticide in question has voluntarily halted shipments of their product. Wasn't that nice of the pesticide company to do that? I mean, they're still spreading pesticides all around, but that's another video for another time. The EPA said it became aware of the pesticide contamination last year from citizen science testing. Yes, some tree hugger tested a sample, and voila, our new president is taking action. Activism worked again. Of course, Trump during his tenure, did nothing but bury this information. So even if Biden can't get the whole distance to outright banning these compounds, we're better off than we were if we were still under Trump. And that is the theme of these next 4 years. Incrementalism, but it's better than where we'd be under Trump. What Biden will do to tackle the PFAS pollution will be to designate PFAS as a hazardous substance, setting enforceable limits for PFAS in the Safe Drinking Water Act, prioritizing substitutes through procurement, and accelerating toxicity studies and research on the chemicals. This sets the ground rules for corporate responsibility and regulation. Let's make sure he does this and more. I'm Julianna Forlano. You're watching ACT TV.